There's a new me coming out, and I just have to live, and I wanna give. I'm completely positive. I think this time around I am gonna do it like you never knew it. Oh, I'll make it through. The time has come for me to break out of the shell. I have to shout that I am coming out.
Welcome to the show Never Too Late Ever, where we focus on making the next chapter of your life, I said your life, the very best chapter ever. I am your host, Lorraine Hoving, and I am thrilled you are here today. This day will change your life. Open your heart, open your ears, and listen, and you will find a gem, a treasure that you can apply to your life today. I am so excited to have my next guest here today. Her name is Dr. Kaz, and I'm going to call her Kaz. Hi, how are you doing, Kaz?
Hey, I am absolutely brilliant. How are you, Lorraine?
Hey, you know what? I love that. Brilliant. I'm brilliant too. I'll take it. So
you
me
may steal that.
Yeah, I felt it as you said that. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Dr. Kaz because you are in for a great time here. She is an award-winning international speaker, executive coach, author, and brain trainer. And sometimes I think I need a brain trainer. She has worked with Fortune 100 companies, international associations, 3 Olympic teams, and 34 Olympians. She's known throughout the world as the Get Her Done gal. I love it. She works with movers, shakers, and impact makers on getting unstuck, which we just talked about on our last program, and teaching how to live in competitive balance, where intensity meets inner peace and momentum explodes. I love that. Dr. Kaz shares the latest in research, case studies, and how she's overcome. Now, I want you to listen to this, how she's overcome. 7 total vehicles, 6 near-death experiences, 5 major career boo-boos, 4 limiting beliefs, so I've had more than that, 3 houses that burnt, 2 broken necks, and being financially, emotionally, physically, and spiritually bankrupt. She'll make everyone a believer in. Ask a great question and you'll get a great answer. She will enlighten you, empower you, and challenge you. Change what is not working and champion causes that impact the greater good. She lives by her credo, which I love. I'd rather wear out than rust out. Welcome, Kaz. After reading all of that, I am so thrilled that you are here, like I said.
Well, thank you, Lorraine. I am absolutely excited to chat with you today and share some insights for your audience.
Because I know you will have insights because you have overcome. When I read that, I realized how much you had overcome. And today our topic is on, which I love to. I had another guest once that came on and just talked about the brain. And I could talk about the brain forever because I think it's so complicated in some ways and then simple in other ways. So it's fascinating to me. So the topic of your talk today, you named it Brain Speak. And what do you mean by brain speak?
And that's a great question. What I learned, and this is over 4 decades ago, well, actually, it started when I would talk to myself as a teenager and people would say, why are you so positive? And I was always a MacGyver mind, like, oops, I'm here, I can fix this. And I grew up with that. But as I got older, the boo-boos got a little bit bigger. So what I learned was early on, the brain just fascinated me. Like someone said to me, how is it that, 4 weeks after you broke your neck, totaled 4 vehicles in one accident. So I want to make sure everybody knows I wasn't driving all 7 vehicles that I totaled. I only drove 4 of them at different times, but I just want to make sure everybody knows 3 got in the way. But I went back to work, and here I was, this sassy 21-year-old, just graduating. The accident happened December 7th. I graduated. I wouldn't go on stage because I was paralyzed from the neck down, and I refused to have them carry me across the stage in a stretcher. So I graduated 2 weeks later, and I just looked at my mom and said, "Hey, I'm $250,000 in debt. I lost my car. That was totaled. I lost my home. I had to sell that. So I'm going back to work." And she said, "Mousebait, you still got a full cast on your left leg." I said, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll get it cut down to a knee cast." So I was a bartender, tiny, like they look like tube tops, not dresses. And so I went back and said, "Hey, I need to come back to work." And he said, "I can't have you work. You're in a cast." I said, "You can have me work. Give me a form. I'll sign it. I'll waiver my insurance. I need to come back." And back in those days, I was making the equivalent of about $4,000 to $5,000 a week today. So I was making $1,000, $1,200. Yeah, I was making $1,000 to $1,200 as a bartender, going full time to school. I just graduated. I was $250,000 in debt. I said, "Dude, I have to come back to work."
Yeah, you need the money.
And so, so they used to say to me, "I don't get how your brain works." So I started studying what is it that makes up the brain. And so I, graduated my PhD and didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to get one of those career courses. And we took a personality profile, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, which I had used in my master's. I actually interviewed Isabel Briggs-Myers 3 months after she launched the MBTI instrument.
Amazing.
And I'm interviewing her, and I said, "I'm a really good grad student, and I don't know if your profile, it really hasn't been tested, and I don't know if it's good enough for me." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I did not know Grace at all." And she was so gracious. She did not put me on my place. She said, "Well, let's do this. We've got 10,000 people that have taken this, and we've done our research. Let's see if it works in your master's." So I knew the MBTI. And when I took the test, I said, "This is part of my brain, but this is not all of me." And so through the years, I just kept studying. NLP came out, neuro-linguistic programming. Are you more auditory, visual, kinesthetic? So I studied that. And then I learned about right brain, left brain. And when in Australia, I learned about male dominant brains and female dominant brains. It had nothing to do with gender. It had everything to do with how your senses, how your eyes, ears, taste, how they worked with your brain. And then I looked at stress. So about 34 years ago, I was working with athletes in Australia, and I realized I could not watch a swimmer swim for 6 weeks to figure out what was going through his brain. And so I thought, well, there's certainly something out there that tests everything, so I would know this brain language. Well, there wasn't. So I created what I call a brain blend. It lets me know instantly. It's like brain blend. And so all those areas, personality, how you learn, right brain, left brain, male or female dominant, and stress would give me a formula, and I'd get a number. And so as I began to test these athletes in Australia, it shortened my time to get them better by months. Like they take the test, I'd say, "Oh, you're not good at decision making. Oh, you're a worrier. Oh, you pull the trigger too quickly." And so I knew exactly what their strengths and weaknesses were. And so I began to teach it in corporate during executive retreats. And they would look around the table and go, "Oh my gosh, you're auditory. That's why you don't look at me when you talk. Like, I think you're disrespecting me. You don't need to look at me." And so over the years, I'd say to parents, you and your son's brain language is different. And they go, "What do you mean?" And I'd say, "Well, can you read a book?" And they go, "Well, of course I can read a book." Awesome. And I would hand them a book in Mandarin, Chinese. And I'd say, well, here's a nursery rhyme book. And he'd go, I can't read that. What is it? And I'd say, oh, that's Mandarin. And he'd go, well, I can't read that. Oh, okay. And I'd hand him a book. And I'd say, well, okay, wait a minute. I've got one I think you can read. I'd hand him a book in Braille, nursery rhymes in Braille. And he'd go, seriously, I don't know Braille. And I'd say, now you're beginning to understand your brain language is like Mandarin and your son's is like Braille. And he'd go, oh. So brain speak is important because its sole foundation is on values. What do you value? And so, like, I look at the personalities, 4 major personalities. How you discipline a child, how you talk to somebody at the store, how you motivate someone. It all goes back to language. And so I'm a power person. I'm a power Pete. So I like my words to be short, sharp, simple. You are what I call a pizzazzer. Now, you may have a little bit of power, but you are a pizzazzer. They are the cheerleaders of the world. And so you're about having fun and being happy and everybody, kumbaya. And then about the precision people. So the precision people are the people that deal with systems and numbers and technology, and they love order. They live by rulers and whiteout and straight edge, and they're very specific. They have routines. And then the last group are the peace people. And they just live, I call them the Bob Marleys. They're the, whatever, like just having fun, living life. So brain speak, that's what I tell the kids is, oh, your brain language is different than your coach's. So when he says this and it hurts your feelings, this is really what he means.
Right.
And so as they begin to learn, and for your people that are listening, I don't care if you're 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. There are ways when someone communicates something and you get mad or sad because they didn't rarely, maybe 10% of the time, does someone deliberately want to make you mad or sad. They wanted an outcome and they weren't communicating it in your brain language.
Right.
So as you learn brain speak, you can interpret what they say. Oh, he's not calling me stupid, old, confused, a jerk. What he's saying is, we're not a service that caters to beginners or whatever it is. And you're like, okay, cool. Like I would not be mad if I walked into an eye doctor and said, I need a tooth pulled. I don't do that. I'm an eye doctor. No, you don't understand. I need a tooth pulled. No, I do understand. I don't pull teeth. And so when you learn the brain language, then as a pizzazzer, I can speak to you in pizzazz and you understand and you're excited and you're happy and you're honored.
Right.
And so it's about, being able. There's certain words that'll make my brain spark. Like you said, oh, brilliant. I love that. You're a pizzazzer. You live for gold and yellow and sparkles. You're the ooh-ah person. You're the accessorizer. And even your pictures. Like I look at your pictures, I'm like, oh, she is such a pizzazzer. and you live who you are and you love who you are.
So,
and
Doctor, I have a question. So it's called brain speak, and then there's these 4 languages, which is power, pizzazzer, precision, and peace. Is that my understanding?
Those are really the personalities, and they're permanent. So they everything else can be changed. That's variable, but the personality is like skin color and eye color. It's permanent. Right. So that's how I identify the brain speak, because no matter how hard I might have wanted to change being a power person to maybe being a peace person, that would dishonor how I was made, how I was born, how God intended me to be. So by knowing the personalities will soften. Like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I had an employee describe me as a pit bull and lipstick on a bad hair day with PMS. Everybody thought I was going to fire her. And I looked and said, oh,